Welcome to the Boating Business Success Podcast. In this podcast, we talk about success stories from industry professionals. We talk about expert insights from their experience, and we also provide you with exclusive strategies to market and sell more boats. Today, I am honored to have Dani Goldenberg, team leader of Marine Connection from West Palm Beach. Dani, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So, Dani, can we start by providing our audience with some information about Marine Connection?
Sure. Marine Connection has been in boat business for a long time, since 1987. But our paths crossed right around 2010, and I had been in boat business 4 years by that time. So around 2010, me and my partner, we acquired Marine Connection. And since then, we've been operating it. We grew it from one single location in West Palm Beach to 7 locations. And it's been quite interesting how we went from 2010 to 2024. And pretty much I can get into more details about Marine Connection, but it is a long story.
Yeah.
I rather go with your questions.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll dive in. So 2010, you started and you expanded from 1 to 7 locations. Which ones are the locations that you have right now?
As far as south to north, we have an Isla Morada location. We have a location in Miami, in Doral by the airport. We have another location in Aventura, which is on the water. It's in a marina, a very urban setting. And then we have Fort Lauderdale. Then we have West Palm, which is our main location where all the boats come in. We call it our headquarters. All the main functions are here. And then going north, we have Stuart, which is a great boating location. We're also in the water in Stuart, located inside in a marina. And then we have Vero Beach, which I particularly like that location a lot. It's a great town, great boating, quiet. And after that, we acquired another company, which was in 2022, which is called Boaters Exchange. We didn't brand it into Marine Connection yet, but going north, then we have 2 other locations, which makes it 9. And that's in Rockledge and then New Smyrna. And after that, you get to the Jacksonville market, which we haven't expanded yet. And on top of that, we're actually setting up another location, which would be our 10th, and that's going to be in Miami River. We are working on a new brand and a brokerage operation, and we will have docks over there, and we will have a yard that we can do a lot of work and carry out new yacht and brokerage operation. So that's our footprint. It's all on the east coast of Florida, and we stretch, I think, a 300-mile coastline, over a 300-mile coastline.
That's amazing. So you're serving almost all of Florida right now.
Yes, and it is a different strategy. We did that so that we could be closer to our customers, so we could do service in different areas. Some people might argue that maybe 2 giant locations could serve that area, but also for real estate reasons, we had to do it that way. Yeah.
Dani, what about the team? How has the team grown since you started 2010 to today?
Probably around 2010, we started about 10 people, me and my partner, and we had a handful of other employees. Some of them are still with us. And now we're about 100 people. So through COVID, we had to grow our human resources. And with the acquisition of Boaters Exchange, that added another 30, 35 people. So overall, we're about 100 people.
Amazing. Daniel, let's just go back a little bit. How did you get into boating? And then how did you get into the business of boating and dealership?
It always comes from family, or many times it comes from family. So I grew up boating. Summertime, my father used to fish, and I was fascinated with the boats, how they're built, being on them, working in them. And I kind of grew into it. And when I moved to Miami in 2000, Miami opened up a whole new horizon as far as boating goes, and Florida for that matter.
Where were you?
I grew up in Turkey. I was born in England, but I grew up in Turkey, which is a base now for yacht building. They do very well in yacht building, and I think soon they're going to cross into more production type manufacturing. But country has three, I'm not going to say oceans because it's more protected waters, but it's surrounded by waters, Mediterranean being the biggest one. And I grew up into the boating culture, and that's why I chose Miami to live, because Miami is also surrounded by waterways, by ocean and Biscayne Bay. And it's in my blood.
Nice. How long ago did you come to Florida for the first time?
It was 2000 actually. It was maybe 99. Then I decided to move here, and I studied in Florida and then in New York. But then I came back to Miami and worked as a yacht broker between 2000 and 2002.
And what happened then? How did that transition into acquiring Marine Connection?
In 2002, I met a client, which I sold his boat. It was a 54 Bertram. And we built such a good relationship that he made me an offer to work for him. And I did work for him for another 4 years, from 2002 to 2006. He had all kinds of businesses in Miami, but he was a boater. He had large yachts, and I worked in them. I managed them. And ultimately, we ended up going into boating business together, but it was a side business for him. So we did that for the last 2 years. Then I told him that I wanted to go on my own, and he respected it. And to this day, we're still friends.
That's cool. Was it the same business model, a dealership?
Not really. No, he had 2 large sport fish yachts, and one of them was a 92 footer, and that required management. And for a year, I managed that yacht. We did extensive repairs. We did a refit in Lauderdale Marine Center. And then it was simply buying and selling of used boats at that time. That was 2005. And we were just going out to the market, purchase boats, refurbish them, and sell them. And it was a kind of a hobby for him. He enjoyed improving boats and working. And we did that for a while. Then I went on my own doing the same exact thing between 2006 through 2010.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And then you partnered with your current partner?
My current partner, we got together once I left my previous employer. So we joined 2006, and we formed a company that is still the company today. Even though we branded Marine Connection, it is the same entity. And so we've been together since 2006, running the company together.
How was that period before you acquired Marine Connection?
Through 2006 towards 2010, and it was at the end of 2010, so we could say 2011. It was the most interesting time in history. It wasn't a great time, but timing was in our favor because we were just starting out, and the financial crisis had just started, and that kind of opened up a whole new horizon for us.
How did the economy affect the business around that time with the recession and all of that?
It affected used boat business in a good way. I mean, it wasn't good for the country, but there were a lot of used boats out there that could be purchased. And banks needed help from companies like us, where we could take their inventory and remarket it to the whole world. So banks were our number one source of boats from 2008 towards 2011. Unfortunately, a lot of customers defaulted on their loans, and banks had to take those boats, and those boats needed to be managed, kept up, and remarketed. And we sold, I would say, 1,000 boats in a matter of few years to all over the world. Yeah.
All over the world. So it wasn't even just in the US.
No, Canada, Australia were among the top buyers, even Europe. The currency, it was in their favor. But that's a time that I hope we never go through again. We really don't want US consumers to default on their boat loans ever again. But there were very few factories that produced boats at the time. Most manufacturers, they were on idle, or they were manufacturing very little around 2010 and 11. And when we acquired Marine Connection, we knew that it was going to come back. That was one of the reasons why we purchased it. And in 2012, it did come back. It started slowly, but manufacturers started ramping up, manufacturing, developing new models. And from 2012 to 2022, we had a great run.
Amazing. Yeah. Do you see any similarities in what happened at that time and what's going on today with the economy and like the current boat market?
No. It is slowing down, obviously, with the interest rates being high. Cost of borrowing went up, but it is very different. It is very different this time around.
I can imagine it was difficult, right? Like not a lot of people were in the market to buy boats at that time. Like in
there are always buyers for the right price. There are always buyers. There is always enough wealth in this country or in the world, because boating is such a niche product that there are always buyers. But the key is to have a healthy supply chain, from manufacturers to dealers to the consumer, and everybody needs to work together. But, there are always buyers around.
Yeah. What was it like a struggle for other dealers? I just want to get like an idea.
It was.
Okay.
It was, and only the best dealers survived that time. So it was a difficult time. The previous owner of Marine Connection stopped carrying new boats, and he did not want to continue through that time. So that's why we were able to purchase it. And we still have a relationship with him. We do things on the used boat sites together. And that goes back to the relationships. Our motto was always building relationships at any level. And, but yes, dealerships struggled and very few survived the financial crisis.
Man. So you started in a very difficult time, and
correct,
you were able to still grow during that time. And then once the market took off again, that's when you acquire Marine Connection. And then I can imagine it's just more growth after that.
After that, it was all about building relationships with manufacturers and building our credit, which is very important, and building our reputation. So that's pretty much sums up the story of 10 years, building relationships, building credit, and building a reputation among the customers.
Amazing. what do you attribute your success during the hard times?
During the hard times, we did what we could, and we worked very hard to do what we could do. There are always opportunities, whether you're going towards a downward shift or upward shift, you can always make the best out of it. And during the downturn, we capitalized on the opportunity of improving used boats, because that's where the value is created. And during the upward trend, we were very bullish on inventory. So we supported our manufacturers with inventory and moving that inventory. So in the downturn, it was working on boats and improving them, because there wasn't much to do on new boats.
So being very agile, right? When things change, instead of just trying to do the same thing as you've done before, you started working with banks, you started working on used boats.
Yeah. And that's something we do every day. We adapt, because every day things change, and it's a constant movement of adaptation. And yes, we adapted to what we could do at the time. And we did it fast. Yes, you have to do it fast. We created a boat refurbishment operation. We had an upholstery department. We had a gel coat department. We had paint. We had marketing. So we developed every department that we needed in order to work with what we had at the time.
Love it. All right. So
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about Marine Connection today. I want to know first, how do you provide a great customer experience?
That's a great question. We start by listening our customers, because every customer is different and they all have different problems. They come from a different environment, and we start by listening, understanding what they need, understanding what they do, understanding where they are, where they're going, and then we respond within our ability to help them with this experience.
How does that look like normally when like a customer comes to the dealership, or they call, or they send an email? How does it prepare?
They may contact one way or the other, and many times it's a customer that we already know, and that is what we would like to have. But whenever there's a new customer come in, it's the beginning of a relationship. We'd like to invite them to one of our stores so that they can spend time with our staff. And we try to talk about everything that matters to them, from dockage to insurance, to their experience level, to what they do. And it starts by understanding them. And then hopefully we find the right fit. We find a product that will work for them based on their experience, their place, their ambitions, and hopefully we grow with them. And then they keep the boating lifestyle and move up one way or the other, or maintain their boats. And we're always part of the journey, because things break, things happen, and it is a very intimate relationship. And hopefully we grow with the referrals. That's what we want.
Mm-hmm. It's all about the relationship, a real,
Yes.
supportive, and educating them. Then
Yes.
who are your customers? What are your target markets, or like who are most of your customers?
That's a great question, because boat business is very fragmented and very segmented. We're mostly in the saltwater fish segment, but we do carry some runabouts. We don't have any pontoons. We don't have any towboats. We don't have any aluminum boats. but we're very strong in the saltwater fish segment. So many of our customers fish, and they also use their fishing boats to go on the sandbar and just enjoy being on the water with their families. And then we have customers that just go and enjoy cruising. And now we're entering into a new market where we're exploring some foreign products that are very well built, and we're crossing over to the yacht segment. So our customers are, they're in the age between 40 to 70, the majority of them. And many of them, they had boats prior, even though we had our fair share of first-time buyers in the last few years. But the majority of our customers are between the age of 40 to 70, and boating is part of their lifestyle.
I can imagine it's hard because there's so many marketplaces online. And if I want to buy a boat, I go online and I start seeing all these boats from all of these different dealerships all over the country, maybe.
Yes.
So how do you get them to buy from Marine Connection or to consider Marine Connection when there's just so many opportunities and like places to go to? It's overwhelming. So how do you attract them? How do you differentiate among all the noise out there?
Well, competition exists in every industry. You can't change that. There will be a lot of opportunities for buyers, but we rely on referrals. For us, that is the most effective way of growing our business, because we want our customers to bring others to us. And that is the cheapest, most effective way of reaching to new customers. But obviously, we do marketing. We have to do marketing. We have to be out there and make sure customers that don't rely on any referrals can find us. And we utilize all the traditional sources. Nowadays, social media is part of it. And we carry out an extensive marketing operation. And when it all comes together, that creates momentum. Another important factor is time. The more you stay in the business, the more referrals you're going to get. And it's almost like a compounding force. So we've been in this location where I'm sitting since 2014, I think, even prior, 2004, even 10 years prior to me. So having a brick and mortar in the same place for 20 years, that is a great, contributor to our momentum. And we always believe in that. So we're in this for the long haul.
Love it. So you work a lot on trust and relationships so that you can get those referrals, right? How do you
Yes.
know, how do you grow or ensure or bring in the referrals? Do you have like a system or a process to encourage clients?
It is very salesperson driven because they maintain our relationships. And once the customers like the style or build a relationship with one of our salespersons, then they maintain the relationship. So it is very common for us to have one of our guys sell the fourth or fifth boat to the same family.
Yeah.
And we even have some veterans in our staff that they sold a boat to the family, and then now they're selling a boat to their children because now they've been growing so they can make their own purchase. And again, this is very human driven, and that's how we keep the relationships. If you can't keep your sales staff, if you can't retain your sales staff, when you lose your sales staff, you lose the relationships too many times. Yeah. Even though that person is a Marine Connection customer, there's more human factor than we think there is. So relationships are maintained by humans many times.
Wow.
And in fact, we have a great scenario here where one of our top sales guys retired. He's been here for 20 years, maybe even more. And his son is now working for us.
Wow.
So what's happening is that all his momentum, all his following, he's passing it to his son. So we're able to retain his relationships through his son. And that makes me very nostalgic and excited at the same time.
Yeah, that's great. Focusing on long-term relationships and on the human aspect of business has been really awesome. And then you also differentiate by having your focus on cruising and then saltwater fishing, right? So you're like the experts on those two segments of boating.
Yes. We are in South Florida, so my vision is to be able to position the company where I can see into the future and kind of understand how boating is going to evolve. So that's our current mission right now. Going back 10 years, it was more important to understand where the market would go. But now there's a lot of innovation. Boats are becoming hybrid, and there are new designs that really excite me. I think there was a center console revolution in the last 10 years. The center console evolved into something way more than just a fishing boat. And I think same thing is going to happen in the next 10 years in the runabout segment. And we are making some decisions today to position Marine Connection very well into the new breed of runabouts. And when I say runabouts, I mean to say pleasure boats. So I think there will be a pleasure boat revolution. Center consoles will remain in place. I don't think we can stretch them anymore. And in the last few years, we're able to sell a 59 center console with 6 engines that has a cabin and a seakeeper and side windows and many other things. And I think after that, you're crossing into a yacht. So I think center consoles are pretty stretched, but that capability resonates to the smaller center consoles. Nowadays, it is common to have a 26-foot center console with a seakeeper with features that we never thought it would happen 10 years ago.
Can you talk a little bit more about? Sorry,
on the futures, like as far as seating, as far as comfort features, windshields, cabins, toilet mechanisms. Like there's so much you can do now with a center console. You can have a full day on the water. You can even overnight in some of them. But, we would like to focus on the 20 to 30 feet segment. I think it's very important. 95% of the boats in US are within 26 to 28 feet range. So that's where the volume is. Yes, the larger center consoles are so cool, but the unit volume is very small. It's very niche. It's not for everybody. Marine Connection has always been volume driven. So we focus on 20 to 30 feet on the center consoles. And there's just so much in them. Seakeepers, autopilots, amazing steering, all kinds of seatings and tables and wine coolers. And we're talking about a fishing boat here. So that is market expansion on the center console side. And I believe the same thing is going to happen on the pleasure boat side. And we will see a lot of products from Europe coming in and expanding the market even further.
So the evolution is towards more features, more pleasure, more comfort. How would you describe that evolution that happens with the?
It's gonna come for the coastal market. I'm talking more on the coastal market because that's our market. US has thousands of lakes, and lake boating is amazing. but it is different than coastal boating. So if we talk about the coastal market, which that's the market we're in, I think the pleasure boating is going to come in where people are going to start spending more time on the water. That means cabin boats will come back. There was a huge market, mainly driven by sea rate between 95 to 2005. There were tons of cabin boats, Sea Ray Sundancers, the Sedan bridges, and it started from 24 feet and it went up to 40. And for a long period of time, U.S. manufacturers stayed away from cabin boats in that size segment. I think that's coming back. So I'm talking about volume, cabin, and more lounging space under the shade.
Mm-hmm. It's adapting to what consumers are wanting or how their needs are shifting.
Yes. Back then, boating was all about the sun and spending time under the sun outdoors, which is still great. A lot of people still do that, but nowadays consumers are looking for shade. They're looking for air conditioning. They're looking for comfort.
Yeah.
And with center consoles, you really don't get that. And if you're not fishing and you want to go towards more pleasure boating and you're not in the lake, you're in Florida where it rains, where the sun can be brutal, 6 months out of the year, you're looking for those things. Maybe you're looking for a place to take a nap. Now you have a seakeeper, the boat is not rolling. So all those things come together to create a new experience in the pleasure boat segment. And the yachts are great, but you need sometimes more maintenance, more crew. So we also see a trend where some people, even though they can afford a 60-70-footer yacht, they're downsizing to a day boat that can overnight. And they love the simplicity of it. They love that they can operate it themselves. That is easy to dock, easy to store. And for me, the sweet spot is between 30 feet and 50 feet.
Love it. That's so cool. I love how you're so focused on understanding the different types of customers and what they are doing, what they want. So can we talk a little bit about marketing? I've seen you do a lot of great marketing. When I'm on social media, I've seen some of your posts and then I get retargeting ads. So I keep seeing Marine Connection on YouTube and then on Instagram and then Facebook. So how do you manage that? What do you think is the most effective channel or marketing strategies, ideas, anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, marketing is a huge subject. And I want to start by saying there are two ways of doing it: organic way and spending. And I have to tell you, we don't spend an excessive amount of money on marketing. We like the organic way more. Yes, we do publish in all the websites like Boat Trader, Yacht World, and a few others. But the social media side is fairly new. I think we're still scratching the surface on how we reach to the customers. There's so much content out there, but we like the content. So we like producing content that gives people something. So we're not particularly selling on social media. Yes, we do run some ads time to time because we would like to pass the message of our manufacturers to our audience. But we're doing a lot of content creation to display the boating lifestyle to everybody. And I think that's a great non-selling way of showing Marine Connection to people, that we have fun producing this content and then we share this content. It's almost like an art form. And I think that's something that energizes our staff. And we're figuring out cool ways to do that, whether when we're producing it, whether when we're shooting it. I think it's a great outdoor activity for the marketing team. So we do that. We advertise on Google and Facebook, Meta to a degree. But the consumer nowadays, they don't want to be bombarded with ads, right? I mean, that's something that we always think about, that if you're watching YouTube, everybody prefers the non-ad version.
Yeah.
It's more money, but we always have to think about that, because customers get so much from each direction with emails and sponsored ads, and we're trying to simplify it. So that's another angle that we never forget when we think about marketing, that we want to respect the consumer. Yeah.
So your approach is more on the like educating the consumer and interacting with them, showing them cool videos and educating them on how the roads work. And is that how
Correct.
you
Yes.
approach?
Yes. That's one way of putting it. We're trying to create content that they enjoy watching. And we're building a new website. We've been working on a new website internally for the last 2 years, actually, and it's going to be published probably in the month of July. And we're integrating a lot of content into it. We want to make this website not only an inventory site, but a site that provides resources to our customers and our prospects.
Yeah, love it. I'm excited to see it. And that's how it should be, because as a boater, we want to be educated. We want the boat to work. We want to be able to take the family, the friends out without having issues. So that's huge. Having that place where you can get the education, get the resources, get the entertainment, and at the same time you have the service and focus on relationships. So I love all the input that you have given us, Dani.
No problem.
Dani, can you share a memorable story from your experience in the industry or with Marine Connection of a challenge that you were faced with, and then how you overcame it with the team or however it happened?
That's a tough one. There are so many memorable experiences. And one memorable experience, actually, that is very interesting. Many times when you get bad news, you think it's bad news, but it opens up a whole new dimension. And this happened a few years back, where one of our manufacturers wanted to go into a different direction. And obviously, we do not like to change our brands. We're very loyal to our brands and would like to have a long-lasting relationship and provide service to a broader area to our customers, so that they can experience the same level of service. And when that manufacturer pulled out, that created a dynamic shift, and another manufacturer approached us, or maybe we approached them. But with that, we were able to grow further. And during that period, it is very important that you maintain a relationship with both sides. And it is a memorable experience that we're still in great relationships with both sides, but we managed that time very well, that team was not affected. We didn't have any issues with the morale. And I always remember that, because things happen daily, and this can happen with different levels, but it's important to stay calm, think about everything, and act and move forward, because you can get demoralized very easily.
Mhm.
And the same principle applies when things start to slow down. We maintain the same attitude that there will be other opportunities and we have to stay on course and keep investing. And this is more of a broader experience, but it taught me a lot that we should never get demoralized on events like that.
Love that. You said stay calm, think, and then take action. What are some
Exactly.
other what are
The
some
same
other
thing,
habits?
the same thing applies when you lose a great employee for whatever reason. They may want to grow and go into a different direction, but immediately some people panic about things, and we learn the hard way that the best way is to stay calm, think, and then act.
Mhm. What are some other values that you have at Marine Connection, like those that keep you growing and successful?
Transparency. Transparency is big, that we are very transparent with our staff. They know what's going on. They know our numbers. We try to involve them into our decisions. And honesty, relationships, being upfront. And those are some of the important ones that come to my mind immediately.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Danny, and also I wanted to know right now, what are your main responsibilities? How does normal day look for you as a team leader?
Yeah, I'd like to have the big picture view, and I enjoy working on the big picture, and many times I miss going out on the field, and I do that by just simply getting there, taking the boats out, talking to a customer. It's not too hard to do that, and it keeps me grounded. I love doing that. Last week, I think I participated in many of those things. I probably drove a boat for a shooting. I helped one of our guys do a sea trial. I constantly jump into boats to check their condition. Many people forget, but we need to protect our inventory, and it is not like cars. You can't close the doors and make sure that those boats remain fresh and ready for a proud owner. So I never forget that we're protecting these assets for the future owners. And that is something that I'm very particular. But those are all the things that I miss doing. What I do is really understand where the market is going, how we can position ourselves for the future, make sure we have the right relationships with our lenders, with our manufacturers. And also I work a lot on recruitment. And I do that in a very different way. It's my long game, and I build relationships with everybody over time, even if I'm not recruiting at the moment. But meeting somebody from the industry is an opportunity for me to meet somebody. And there comes a time where things change for everybody. And when timing is right, many times we reconnect, and then that's how we grow our team. So to me, it's all about growing the team before growing the business. And I do that mentally in my head. There are certain people that I always think about. When the business is to a point, I know that I have somebody ready to advance. And I spend a lot of my time meeting and also developing the existing staff. That is also another aspect of the business that I get involved in.
That's so cool. So you do high level from strategy and research and understanding the market, managing relationship with the manufacturers, with clients, with the team, recruitment. And then you also like to do everything, all of the responsibilities in the different parts of the business, and not just staying at the top, but just going with the team and doing all of the work.
Yes, and I do that to really understand and to stay current.
Yeah.
It is very enlightening when you speak to a customer and they are all different. They all come from a different background, boating experience, and you just time to time, you have to go to every level and talk to people. You have to talk to technicians. You have to talk to boat washers, subcontractors, customers, manufacturers. And I try to do that as much as I can. But my main focus is on the long game.
What are some of the projects that you're involved in? You mentioned Boaters Exchange, and then you're also expanding into yachts and bringing foreign brands. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, all of the above. Boaters Exchange, we're reaching our 3rd-year mark at the end of this year. And that has been a great marriage for Marine Connection. We're exchanging inventory where we have shared staff, and the synergy is coming out just now. And I'm excited for that. We're looking into other companies. There are other boat dealerships for sale nowadays. So we're looking into them. We're talking to them. And at the same time, we are developing a new business. I'm very excited about that. And actually, we're launching August, September. It's
Nice.
Marine Connection Yachts and Brokerage. So we're going to call it MC Yachts to make it short and sweet. But yes, we do have a new brand, and we will start receiving some inventory in August and September. Fort Lauderdale Boat Show will be our first with them. But
Nice.
it is going to be a new segment for us. It's a luxury product. It goes up to 60 feet, all outboard. And with that, I'm hiring some new people, and we have a new location in Miami River. And I'm very excited. That takes a lot of time.
That's
It
amazing.
does take time, but that is almost like new business. And then we have to also concentrate on the existing business. But I'm very growth minded. I love developing a new business or acquiring a new business and then merging it to our core business.
Amazing. So it's exciting times for sure. A lot of change, a lot of adapting. And so the
Yes.
Fort Lauderdale Boat Show is where you're it's like when you present the brand to the public.
Yes, the brand actually has been in US for a while with another dealer, but we think there's more potential. And yes, we will have a booth dedicated to that brand, and we're very close with the manufacturer. We're almost joining forces. We are the official dealer in Florida and the Caribbean. There's another dealer in Massachusetts, but we would like to do it in a way where we're joining forces. And we'll make another podcast solely on that brand.
Love it. Danny, what are some of the biggest challenges and opportunities that you see in the current boat market and in the boating industry overall?
Yeah, the most challenging is the cost of ownership right now. We don't want boating to be expensive. First of all, expensive is a relative term, but right now, high interest rates make the monthly payments very high for some people. Insurance is another problem that it is becoming costly. Access, storage, marinas are expensive. And overall, I think it's harder or more expensive to own a boat now than 20, 30 years ago. So that's something that needs to be managed. And as you know, waterfront properties go up in value. So there are things that can be done. I think the state has a lot of work to do on this, that they can make public ramps and public marinas to make it to stand behind this industry. I think that's the biggest challenge. Education is another one. I think boat owners need a more broad education. Here, you really do not need a boater's license. Currently, there are certain restrictions on when you're born, but there are a lot of uneducated boaters out there that scare other people. And sometimes they don't know. So that is another challenge. I think that needs to happen. As far as opportunities, there are always opportunities. It's a matter how you look at it, but it is a very small industry in the greater scheme of things. US has amazing scale, huge scale, large companies, and boat manufacturers are still very niche. It is still very fragmented. You have people that produce 3-4 boats in their backyard, sometimes in a small warehouse. Then you have manufacturers that do 2,000, 3,000 boats a year. US is a great place to manufacture, but boat manufacturing is very labor intensive. I think 3,000 to 4,000 man hours go into every boat, no matter how you look at it. And it is becoming costly, and it is not, there are many imperfections, I think, in the process. I'm not sure it's the right word, imperfections, but we do a lot of warranty work. And when things fail, the customers really get demoralized. Yes, we try to make it work. We try to fix it. We try to work with them, but it's not like a car where you can bring it with a tow truck, or you can park it. I cross into a challenge, but this is an opportunity. The opportunity is to create a product where it doesn't fail, kind of like an iPhone or nowadays cars. They don't really break. And when it breaks, you have to take it to service and you lose time. Yes, car is a necessity, but still, I think there's a lot of opportunity in manufacturing where if the big businesses see boating as a real scalable business, things can happen. And I think it will in the next 10 to 20 years. Maybe there will be a revolution in the manufacturing with robotics and quality control because humans make mistakes. You will drill you will drill into the wrong place. You will run a cable in the wrong manner. And many times the issue pops up 1 year later when you least expect it. Over time, it gets a little worse, and it pops, and then it ruins a day because customers don't use their boat every day. You're lucky if you get to use your boat, I don't know, 3-4 times a week. And it's very precious. So I think the biggest opportunity is on the product side. And we as a dealers would love a product that fails much less. And it's not all boat manufacturers, because there are a lot of components that boat manufacturers do not produce. The OEM buys components, but they install it. When everything comes together, that's where the magic happens. And I think engine manufacturers, boat manufacturers, and all other OEMs, they need to work more together and create one brand, much like a car. In a Toyota or in a BMW, you do have a stereo made by another company, most likely, but it's not branded differently. So here the customers get confused. You have the Garmin, you have the Yamaha, you have this C-Star, you have jam locks, you have so many different components that they all have their own warranty. But it would be nice to have one brand that covers it all, not only in warranty, but on the engineering.
Yeah. So they can be held accountable in some way, right? Like you don't have to talk to all these different people to solve one problem with your boat.
Yes. And I'll give you another example. I mean, this is far in the future, but there's an opportunity to create a product that is more seamless, that blends in more seamlessly. I don't know if you ever bought a new boat or any boat, but when you get a boat, you get a boat bag that has, I don't know, 400 different manuals in it. You have the manual for the toilet, you have the manual for this, you have the manual for that. They're all different. All the customer service is different, but and many times our OEMs, they don't know the product so well that you need to learn. But it would be nice if you had one manual that really embraces everything and goes deeper into how they manufacture it and engineer it.
Yeah. So there's a lot of opportunity to improve and optimize the current products that we have. And then once that is optimized, then and consolidated also, as you were saying, then you think there's also a lot of scale to be done here in the US and in the world, right? Like there's a lot of more people that could boat and would boat, but they aren't because of issues and just lack of awareness, maybe.
I'm thinking as a boat owner here, it is sometimes overwhelming, but I think there's a big opportunity here for the manufacturing world. That's my dream, really, to have a boat that brands itself with one single brand.
Yeah, that's amazing. I lived that in Venezuela. We have a lake in my hometown that is like super contaminated. There's, Venezuela has a lot of oil. And so the lake in my hometown is like the main oil place in Venezuela. And so there's oil in the floor, there's trash, there's like the plants, the green in the water. And so the engines stop working all the time. And then there's the economy situation. And so there's shortages of parts, and then it's impossible to fix it. And there's shortages of technicians. So yeah, I understand the struggle. So Dani, last question. How do you see the vision of Marine Connection in the future?
We would like Marine Connection to grow in Florida and build relationships with more customers. For that, we're building a foundation, and we hope to become a regional brand. And we like Florida. We don't have plans to expand beyond Florida for the foreseeable future, but we really like Florida. I think Florida is an amazing place geographically, boating wise. The season is extended. You have different bodies on the west coast of Florida and east coast of Florida. You have fishing, you have cruising, you have inshore fishing, offshore fishing. I mean, Florida is just an amazing place to be in boat business, and we would like to cover the whole state. That's our vision.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Dani, thank you so much for your time. This was really a great interview. I learned so much, and I know the audience will really appreciate all the input and value that you've given us. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.